Welcome to Meet the Author, where you can join in on insightful conversations with best-selling and award-winning indie published authors. Your hosts today are Rob and Joan, who themselves are indie published authors, book publicists, and paranormal investigators with Tampa Bay Spirits, based in Tampa Bay, Florida. Thanks for dropping by. And now, on with the show.
Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Joan. Welcome to the show. Whether this is your first time or your 35th time, we're glad that you're here. Remember, we always love to hear your comments, especially those of you who may be joining us for the first time. Please share your comments and your questions. We really like that a lot. If you tuned in last week, you may have seen that there was a major glitch from StreamYard, which they've apologized for and said won't happen again. The show, I believe, started late, about 10 minutes late, and then it only lasted for 10 minutes and 32 seconds, which isn't good. But that author, hello, James.
Hi, James.
Glad to see you, James. Oh, Tom Nelly.
Tom, hey.
How are you?
George is in the house.
Always love to see you, George.
Hi, Trish.
Hi, Trish. Joe Conjol. You're here
Hi,
too.
Joe.
Glad to see you. So as I was saying, if you tuned in last week, you know that happened. There was only a 10-minute and 32-second broadcast. They said, StreamYard said they fixed the bug. They apologized.
They did apologize.
Profusely. Yes.
Amazing.
And well, they should.
They should. Is right. That's right.
However, Marjorie.
Marjorie, you're on time. Very good.
You're
good
on
job.
time for a change. Hi, welcome to the show. Anyway, that author, that was a really good interview. Unfortunately, we can't broadcast it. Well, the broadcast is always live, but we had to pre-record it because she lives in New Zealand and there's no way that she could
with her work
schedule a time where she could be on live because she's working at her other job.
Right.
But it was a really good interview, and we don't want any of you to miss it. And especially if you're authors. Sorry, this is what I'm laughing at. My chair misses you both.
It is such a nice chair, Tom. It is a nice chair.
So we've been on many a podcast ourselves with Tom Nally, and he would be introduced, and there would only be a chair. Because Tom would wander off to do things, and we'd have a chair for a while.
I think he was preparing.
So we started saying Tom Nally's chair. Welcome, Tom Nally's chair. Anyway,
we digress.
Our chair misses you too. Yes. Anyway, if you're an author or you want to be an author, I really think you're going to want to hear that particular Wendy
Scott. Yeah, then it'll be rebroadcast Wednesday, the 8th of January. So that'll get a chance to see the whole thing in its entirety. She's very good.
Because it really was
informative.
It really, really was a good podcast, and she had a lot of good tips and advice for authors or wannabe authors. Okay. Enough about that.
Yes, you should make a Facebook page called Tom Nally's Chair.
You should
show it all the time.
I think it'd be a good idea.
Want to remind everybody about our new show that's on Saturday nights. It streams. It's not live, but we're going through all the episodes. It's Episode Rewind is the name of it. Starts at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And this coming Saturday, it's going to be the episode with Gerald Darnell and Michael Daigle, both mystery writers. It was a real good episode.
It was a really good episode.
From last February, I think. And then a reminder, we do now have 6 places that you can watch. Let's see if we can get to that here. Yeah, it's here somewhere. Where to watch? Okay, you've got Meet the Author podcast page, WLFE-DB Radio Network, and the Variety Unlimited for the radio station as well. LinkedIn page, you should go there. We're broadcasting there right now, actually. And 2 YouTube channels, Indie Book Source and the WLFE-DB Radio. channel.
And if you subscribe to those YouTubes, then you should get an alert
Right.
when the show is going to be on.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. And a little blurb about, and we're going to run a little clip at the end of the show about the Rochester Winter Parafest, March 25th, 26th, and 27th. It's a fundraiser for Veterans Outreach. If you're anywhere near or want to make a trip up to Rochester, New York in the wintertime. Not sure, but well, it's almost spring at that point.
If you want to.
There you go. Numerous celebrities from the paranormal field and more. That's rochesterparafest.org is where you can find out information on that. And I think without more ado, we better get on with the show, as they say.
Bring our guest on, and you're going to like her too. She's got some really interesting books, and I think you'll love to meet her.
And come on in, Kim.
Hi, Kim.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
We're
Hi,
good. You doing good today?
Doing very well, thank you.
Welcome to the podcast. So, where do we start? Maybe you could tell people what it is you do when you're not an author, when you're not writing books.
I'm a business owner, but I'm also an employee for a healthcare organization, Harris Health System, which serves the underinsured and uninsured in Harris County, Texas. And I'm a manager of organizational development. I have the privilege of every day being a leadership development coach, a facilitator, and internal consultant.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now, is that what you've always done for your career, or have you done other things?
No, this is my third industry, if you will. Yeah. So prior to joining Harris Health, I was a university president for many years. And so I was in higher education for a good part of my career. And before that, I was in the hospitality industry.
Wow, those are really interesting and diverse jobs. I mean, seriously, very interesting.
Yes, but at the very core, it's all about service unto others.
Definitely. Which then brings us to the question of, why did you decide to write? Oh, wait a minute. We have a comment. Oh, Chanel. Hi, Chanel. Chanel says hi to you too.
I see that, Chanel. Awesome.
Chanel is going through quite a health crisis, and we've been following her through that. She has bone cancer throughout her whole body. And recently she told us that her chemotherapy could no longer go on. So they're hoping that they can do stem cells for her. So we're all hoping the best for you, Chanel, and sending good vibes and prayers and whatever a person's inclination is to help you get well, Chanel. We're with you.
That's right.
We support you. Anyway, go ahead. We were talking about how you became an author, Kim.
Well, it's kind of an unusual story. And, I don't know what your audience is made up of, probably published authors themselves. And maybe they had a book inside them. I never thought that, actually. But I will tell you that the really great thing that happened one day, October of 2015, our minister had written a book. And he brought the book to church. And whenever he experiences something positive, he always wants to share it. And he brought a gentleman to the church to talk about the process of writing a book. And I went ahead and signed up, and sort of the rest is history. And now I have 7 books, which if you had told me that, before 2015, I would have said, I'm never writing a book.
So which one is your first book?
Did I say never?
Okay, that's what I thought.
There's something about that word called never that one should not say.
I cannot tell you how much I agree with that statement, because believe you me, I have learned I do not ever want to say never say never. Notice I didn't say I'm never going to say never.
Could you tell us a little bit about that one with the...
Yeah, when I went to write, it's interesting. When I went to write that book, it was my 32-year journey with my stepson, who was born prematurely, and he is blind and mentally retarded, doesn't walk, doesn't talk. But, one of the things, though, is that I really felt like if I could write this book and if it helped one family, I would be really happy. because I really think it's a joyful story, to tell you the truth. I didn't know anything. I had not been a mom myself. And so just navigating step parenting and then just a special needs child, it was something very different. But on that journey, I will tell you, I hope that Brooks, that's my stepson's name, I hope that Brooks learned a few things from me, but he certainly taught me many, many things. And the other thing is that, there is a lot of joy, even though it's a lot of hard work, there's a lot of joy. And he's 42 years old and flourishing. So I'm very happy for him.
That's wonderful.
That's really wonderful.
That is.
That's really wonderful. We did have one comment about that. Trish Pipkin said, "I will never win the power."
Yes, we need to be really cognizant of that word, never.
All right.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Your latest book is really interesting also. It's From Prison to Possibilities, Paving Your Path. Would you like to tell us about that a little bit? Because I think this is a wonderful book, and I really hope that it reaches the people that it needs to reach.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about this book. It's definitely, I feel like it's a personal ministry. My life has sort of shifted a bit, but one of the things about it is I actually received a call about 3 years ago from someone in Arizona who asked who had read my previous book, and it was a mentorship book for high school students, and asked if I would be willing to write a book about mentorship inside the prisons. And I said yes. I will tell you, Robin Joan, after I said yes and hung up the phone, I thought, what did I just say? And the reason, because my other books are either personal or I have a lot of experience in that particular field, and I feel totally competent to write about those things. But in this arena, what I realized is I didn't have enough information to write anything at this moment in time. So I did 3 years worth of research, anything that you could think of in order to be able to understand what it's like, what the programs are, what's missing. There's some great programs in prisons today, but there aren't any programs from kind of getting you ready to leave prison and what does life really look like outside of that. So I felt like if we could do a couple of things inside this book, it would make a huge difference. So, you need at least 6 months prior to leaving prison. So a year to 6 months to get yourself really ready and all the pieces that you need to be successful. And you really need to have a clear picture about what life could look like, that reality. The second part, though, is that I don't believe anybody can do anything in this world by themselves. And so having a mentor along the way, someone who has some experience, would be great. And so I feel like the book, so that can happen in a number of different ways. It could be happening with a mentor and an incarcerated man or woman, or it could be a group of 4, up to 4 people. Ideally, we're not there yet, but we're going to get it close. I think the pandemic has changed everyone's work life, right? And so we have people who are now working from home that never had the opportunity to do that. So technology has made it available to still stay in contact. I say all that to only say that where eventually I would love for prisons to consider the possibility of bringing in an enclosed classroom unit office space to use the internet with a mentor to be able to reach to incarcerated people, obviously supervised. On the other hand, here's what I know. Wherever you happen to be incarcerated, you're not going to stay in that town when you leave, probably. You're going to go back home, wherever home happens to be. And most volunteers, this is not 100%, but most volunteers are typically part of a church or a prison ministry volunteering to go there. So what if we could take all the barriers away? In other words, what if you had a mentor in your hometown through some kind of volunteer that could use the internet to work with you 6 months while you're still in prison and 3 months post-release so that you are set up and you don't return to prison? Can you imagine the possibilities in the United States if we could actually do something like that? It really would be a game changer.
It would.
Yeah.
It'd be wonderful.
For sure.
Trish had said, I agree. No one is an island. Everyone needs help and everyone can give help. That's true. I think if you need help, one of the best things that you can do is to give help to somebody else. It's,
Yeah.
I think
Absolutely.
so hopefully the people who read your book and apply the principles will be able to be successful and then be a mentor. I mean, it should be producing mentors, you know. You just need to get a little bit started to get the ball rolling, and it can grow, right?
And, that's a really great example, Joan, that you said. So, there's a lot of, as I said, my outreach, my research was not only, it was firsthand. I've actually gone to prisons. I've taught, I've visited prisons and their programs. I've reached out to wardens, second chance programs, attended conferences, all of those pieces to really understand. And one of the things about that is that Kairos ministry, for example, it's a very strong ministry for men. And what's so great about that program is many of the people who go through that program get out and are leading amazingly productive lives and are married and have children, have great jobs. They now go back and they volunteer inside that ministry. So yes, exactly. That would be the ideal scenario for sure.
Yeah, it just makes sense, because if you've been through something, you're able to speak to that person better than if the person who hasn't. I'm not saying the person who hasn't shouldn't do it, because you should, but I'm just saying, that is more impactful. Oh, we have a lot of comments here. Let's see. George. George says, let me see. In Texas, recidivism exceeds 60%, particularly among violent offenders. That's where Kim is from, George. She's also from Texas. Yes, the statistics are really very depressing, demoralizing. I would say, though, this book is not the end all be all. I'll be the first to say that. So if someone inside prison has taken advantage of any of the programs, and there are some amazing ones, combine those programs with this book would be the ideal scenario, because it's not going to happen quickly. Our mindsets have to change. We have to be in a place where we really want to live a different kind of life and kind of think differently about those choices. And even mindset by itself is not going to do it. And so having that other person, it's kind of like working out. So if you have a trainer or you have a friend that you have an accountability partner, life goes a whole lot better that way. Absolutely. Now, Joe Conjal says, people that are willing to give help take as much away from the interaction as the person they're helping. That's for sure. Absolutely. I can tell you, I was in higher education. I've taught a lot and everything else. But when I was in one of the prisons teaching, I can tell you it was the most, I got so much out of that. It was so rewarding for me. It was like amazing. And I think that sometimes as adults, we forget the kind of experience that we have, that people really need that kind of experience to kind of help navigate, not give them everything, certainly, but ask right questions for them to be able to internalize that and figure out what's best for them. We have another comment. Kim, I feel like I relate to you so much. I've had many people tell me to write a book, but I'm still struggling. What helped you to finally do it? Oh, Trish, you are definitely the person I want to talk to because I am probably the anti-author, to tell you the truth. I wasn't going to do that. And I truly believe there's so many people that definitely have a book inside them. Either they started it and just didn't finish, or they haven't started it. So those ideas have been going around your head, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. So I will say the person I have written my books with he has a program. You can do it via the internet, and he does retreats. His name is Tom Bird. I really believe that I've written every book through his process, and he didn't teach me how to write or anything else. He just sets the stage, if you will, the climate for you to be so successful. And without him, I probably would never have written a book. That's interesting. Tom Bird, B-I-R-D. Okay,
sort of like a poet.
Yeah, a bard. He is a bard. Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Amazing.
Well, that's good. That's good advice. All right, let me bring up one of your other books here. 52 Weeks to Exceptional Leadership. That's really good. We could go from prison to possibilities to that. Serious. So this was actually my second book. So after I wrote Did I Say Never? So that was my heart story about my stepson, Brooks. And then I
I actually, to tell you, and Trish, you might find this amusing. So I went back to the second retreat. This time I wanted to go in person rather than just do it via the internet. And I wanted to also go where Tom was, which is in Sedona, Arizona. And it was on my bucket list. So first of all, I wanted to go on the trip, right? And I went with two friends who also wanted to write a book and hadn't written a book. But I was sitting there. He does some fantastic warm-up exercises to get you ready. And when I was sitting there, I was like, oh, you know what? I didn't even know what a blog was. Did not know what a blog was. But I had done a little research before I went to the retreat. So, because again, I had written my book. I wasn't even, no. So you would think I was going to be thinking about writing more books. No. I had written my book. I was done. But I wanted to go to Sedona. So I didn't have an idea in my head what I was going to write about. And so I just had done research and I thought, well, I wonder if I could write a blog. So in the retreat, I wrote 52 blogs, which became the book.
Excellent.
So I flipped it. Yeah, I flipped it to actually making a book, which was, if you are already a leader, but you really want to have something that's unique or special. And these are simple, very simple, but very practical things that you can do to really do become that exceptional leader. So it was a fun book to write. And I wrote that in honor of my previous staff in higher education at the university. They were an extraordinary group and they were amazing.
That's wonderful. And Sedona is amazing.
It is.
We've been a few times. We'll probably be going back.
Probably.
It's stunning. It's breathtaking.
It is.
One of our authors lives there. Yeah. Linda
Watkins.
Linda Watkins lives there. So Trish says, wow, that's amazing. This is so encouraging.
Exactly.
I have to go to Sedona. Yeah. Yes, I think we should all go to Sedona. It's a great thing. Great place to go. It really is. Now, here's another interesting book that you've written. It's Coaching Conversations, a companion guide.
So this is a companion guide that actually goes with my next book, which was Promotion Protocol. And Promotion Protocol is really designed to, there you go, unlock the secrets of promotability and career success. So how that goes really is, I've been in the workplace a really long period of time. And one of the things that I noticed, particularly when we were interviewing candidates at the university, I saw this more than anything else, that somebody would interview for a job. They really, truly wanted that job. And I'm talking about internal candidates as opposed to external candidates. And sometimes we might only have one position, right? But we might have 4 internal candidates applying for the same job. So if you do the math, you know how that's going to work, right? And we're going to have 3 people really disappointed. And of course, there's always generally a committee that makes that decision, and they make the best decision that they can based on the facts and everything they have in front of them. And one of the things that I see sometimes is when people apply for a position in their career and they don't get it, what happens is interesting to the mindset or what comes out of their mouth. So the mindset becomes self-fulfilling. I didn't get the job, so they mustn't like me. So now their work performance starts to go in the opposite direction, because they're really not feeling great. Another thing that can happen is that they start saying things out loud that are not really kind to the organization. Like, these people don't like me, it's too political, whatever. It's never a positive statement, obviously. Right. And that's not really how life is. But you don't know that when you're on the other side of the table and you're being told you didn't get that promotion. So a lot of times I'll do talks about this particular book because it's really important to me. And usually what I'll ask the audience is how many of you all have ever applied for a position and didn't get it? And most of the hands go up.
Well, sure.
Right? That's life, right? Yeah. And usually then what I'll say is, I'll ask someone if I can work with them individually and say, do you know why? And most people don't. And so that's really the first clue, right? Is to go back, make an appointment with either the hiring manager or the, whoever in that organization, and sincerely go back and say, I'm really disappointed. I didn't get the position. I understand it. Can you give me some feedback so I can work on it, so I can do better the next time? Because I really want to stay with the organization. Right. It is not a debate about why you didn't get that job. It is really seeking feedback so that we can grow. And a lot of times it could be the numbers, right? There were just too many great candidates that applied. It could be that maybe you didn't have as much experience as that other person. Maybe there was something that you said that just didn't quite fit and you need to hone your communication skills. It could be a variety of different things. It could also be, in some areas, I've also worked with people who were terminated. And, I'm in Texas, so if you're in oil and gas, probably that has happened to everyone at some point. And nobody ever feels great about being terminated. They just don't. And I get that. But you have to kind of do some self-coaching to yourself. And it doesn't happen overnight, but you got to get yourself back. And one of the things that I've noticed is when that happens, people can go in and they can send out resumes and they can get that interview. And then what happens next is when they get that interview, they go through and they say all the right things and they can't close the deal. I'll say it that way. And closing the deal is, it's not what you said, it's probably not your resume, it probably wasn't your handshake, your eye contact, or even what you wore, but you're probably still so angry at that employer that laid you off that all that interviewer could hear was the body language is how mad you are. And they're not going to take a chance on you. They're just not. And, most people don't have these kind of real conversations with people. And my commitment is I'm going to have that kind of conversation because I want you to get that dream job. I want you to excel. I want you to be super excited where you are and love the people that you work with.
So that brings up Joe's question. Kim, do you partner with companies where you give lectures or seminars to help coach people what you write about?
Yes, absolutely, Joe. But, I get so much joy, in doing this. And I'll tell you why I get so much joy. I feel like I'm the luckiest person in the world. When I was a young girl at 16, you didn't ask me this question, but when I was 16, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to get a degree in hotel and restaurant management. And one day I wanted to be a hotel general manager. And I loved every part of it. And I knew exactly, I wanted to work every single department. So I really understood it. So when employees would ask me a question, I actually knew the answer. And my last job within the hotel industry was I worked for Hilton Hotels Corporation. That training was phenomenal as a divisional manager. And then I really wanted to teach. I wanted to give back. And I started at the very bottom. I started as a part-time teacher, just like everybody else does. And I knew one day I really wanted to share what I had learned in the hospitality industry. And that turned into something bigger and better and everything else. But, I feel so fortunate to now currently working in healthcare, where those skills are totally transferable from those other two industries. And I get to go every single day and make a difference.
That's
and I love the people I work with.
So Trish, I don't know. I don't get the job. When I ask, the feedback has been, I need more experience or giving clearer examples.
So the giving clearer examples, one thing that you can do some research on that is really helpful today, and I think the better companies are using behavioral-based interview questions. So, if you're an inexperienced interviewer, you're going to ask about your education or experience, and it'll be however. And you can go to the internet and look for the top 50 questions that they ask you in an interview. But what I would say is that if you've done the research about the company and you know about their values, you need to be thinking and anticipating what kind of questions could they ask you about something related to those values. It could be change, it could be customer service, it could be integrity, trust, whatever that happens to be. But what they're looking for is everyone believes, and I know this is true, this is what the research says, that your skills are transferable. You just want to make sure that those skills that you're hiring in for are positive transferable traits, not negative ones. So, if I can give them an example of maybe in my past life where, I had to work through cultural transformation or change management, or how do I deal with change? Give me an example of specifically in your past job where you had to deal with change and how did that go? Or in your past job, when you had a conflict with somebody on the team, how did you manage through that? That's what they're listening for, because they want to know, are you going to be the team player that we want to work with every single day?
You need to go to break?
We do need to take a break now. And
we'll try and deal with the feedback when we come back.
Yeah, we'll try to fix that while we're gone, actually. So come back. Stay right where you're at, everybody. And we'll be right back.
And we'll bring your comments up when we come back from this short commercial break.
Hey, look at us. We've got a new store.
Yeah, we do. It's pretty exciting.
What can you find there?
We have a number of designs available on t-shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, laptop and phone cases, pillows, and new designs are coming in all the time.
Sounds like a great place to shop for authors and readers.
Yeah, and it's easy to find. It's simple. Just visit indiebooksource.com, click on the store tab, and you're there.
Many secrets are hidden within the darkness of the jungle. Behold, this one about a man, a woman, a black jaguar, and an ancient Maya legend. Two Faces of the Jaguar is a novel by George Dismukes that will take you deep into the jungle and capture your imagination until the last word. Two Faces of the Jaguar is book one of a trilogy. Two Faces of the Jaguar, where only the adventurous dare to read.
Two Faces of the Jaguar, The Lost City, and The Jaguar's Quest are available on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and many other bookseller websites. Two Faces of the Jaguar, the book people are talking about. Get your copy today.
Hello, welcome back.
We're back.
Trish Pipkin said, thank you for that answer.
You're welcome.
And you wanted to do the book giveaway?
Yes, I think we should take this opportunity, and then we'll talk about the remainder of your books.
Which are all good, by the way, just as interesting, people. So Stay tuned.
Okay, the book giveaway, so we can get started on that first. And here it is. Book giveaway. The first 3 people to email NUGENT1234@gmail.com will win an ebook of choice. And that email is coming back around here. It's NUGENT1234@gmail.com.
Okay, so while we're doing that, I should have done this anyway. This is Kim's website, www.drnugentspeaks.com. That's DRNUGENTSPEAKS. All right. And then her Facebook, this is easy for me, you guys. Kim S. Nugent, KIMSNUGENT, and I'm not going to spell that again, because then for Twitter, we have @Kim S. Nugent, LinkedIn, Kim S. Nugent, and of course, her email you just heard is nugent1234@gmail.com. And those are all the places that you can reach Kim. And of course, you can find her books on Amazon and on Indie Book Source. You can find a link to them. Let's see. Trish says, I'm in the middle of reading George's 3rd book of Two Faces of the Jaguar. So much fun. And
Good
you
books.
didn't get that in a contest.
Right.
But she got her first one in the contest. I remember that, which
Right.
she's now become a fan of George. All right. Let's see. Let me bring up some of the other books that you will find when you go to her website. So go to her website, look at all the possibilities that you have there, and then you can win one of those books. Yeah, she says, nope, I bought it. Yeah, I know you bought it this time. All right. Let's see.
Paving your path. Why don't we do that one next?
All right, paving your path. What's next for high school? Oh, that's a good topic. What's next for high school graduates?
So I love this book because it's really geared for juniors and seniors in high school. And the reason I wrote it is you would think that Kim would be very pro-university. I just really believe that the university is not the only choice for people. And in fact, it's not the right choice for many people. And so I really wanted to make sure that, having been on the inside, that I could share with families 7 possibilities in terms of that path, and they make the best choice for their family. So regardless of what that pathway is, I give you specific strategies and tools in there, and even people who are headed to the university don't know everything because they're a consumer of higher education. They're not on the inside of higher education. And so I try to take away all of the secrets, in terms of accessing scholarships and things like that, and getting ready and knowing how that admissions interview can go, and those kinds of questions. But the other piece of it is that I'm very stuck or committed to mentoring. And it's really a mentoring book for a high school student, a junior or senior student, to go through with a mentor. And it's actually a 30-week program, so that halfway through they're getting ready to do the things that they need to do, like apply for scholarships, for example, and start to be able to tell their story, so that when they're filling out that admissions interview packet, they've got everything that they need. They've got their letter of recommendations. Now, obviously, there's the military, and there's opening your own business and going to work full time, and community college and vocational school. All of those are choices. The goal is not to stay on the couch. That's the goal.
So, not a path that you want to take after high school.
I was aiming for the couch all the time.
But in truth is, not everybody knows what they want to do, to be fair, when they graduate from high school. And so some students actually take that year off and they go volunteer, AmeriCorps, Peace Corps, some other place, or do something, because the worst thing, and this is going to be difficult for mom and dad to hear, but the worst thing is for your desire for your child to go to college, and it's not what they want to do. And at the end of that year, either they drop out or flunk out, and you have debt, which I'm not committed to any of those outcomes. So sometimes just waiting a little bit until they find what it is that they're super passionate about is really the right path. The other thing, though, is that the reason I like a mentor in this particular arena is, and not a parent, the parent shouldn't be the mentor to their son or daughter. It's, it's just a safer place to go with the mentor. The other thing, though, is with that mentor, half of that book is really related to soft skills, making sure they have the soft skills. So regardless of whatever path, whether you're working or whether you're going to school or whether you're in the military, people want to be around people who have good soft skills. And so that's why sort of the focus is that. But the other thing is there's some really hard deliverables to make sure you've got everything you need to be successful. And I'm in Texas, and so the majority population in Texas is Hispanic. And a lot of Hispanic families don't know all of the ins and outs. And I wanted to take all of that away so that they were very clear about the decision that they were making for their family.
That's good advice. Now, Trish said, I went to university and loved it and have talked many people out of it. It's definitely not for everyone. Trade schools are great too.
I love trade schools. I think they're amazing.
Yeah. And now actually a lot of companies are paying for young men and women to learn how to drive heavy equipment, how to pour concrete, how to build houses. I mean, there's just a lot of opportunities out there now because so many people did the college route.
Well, I think the other thing is that, we have so much need in the area of the trades today. Not as many people are going into the trades, and we're desperate in the United States for that. And they are great paying jobs. And It's a limited amount of time to be in school to be able to do that. And thank you, Joe. I agree. Parents should be the parent, and having someone else as a mentor helps everyone grow. And a lot of times, that mentor, it's a safe space, right? They could say things to the mentor that maybe they don't feel quite as comfortable saying it to mom or dad. just maybe something like that in terms of some of those soft skills are not typical conversations that parents have with their children. So as safe as it can be, that's what we want.
Yeah, absolutely. And produce the results you want.
Exactly.
Okay, we're going to turn the corner here and talk about this book.
Finding My Forever Family.
So everybody, all of us around the world have actually gone through COVID, and hopefully we're on the downside of the pandemic and COVID, hopefully. But having said that, it was a challenging time for everyone. So many things changed that your normal wasn't just there anymore, right? And I wanted to do something to make myself happy, quite frankly, and to bring some positivity during this period of time. So that's when I wrote Finding My Forever Family. And I wrote it for a couple of reasons. One is that I had a very special dog. His name is Sumo, and he passed away. But Sumo was an Akita, just fabulous. And I told all the stories about Sumo. And I wrote it, got a great graphic designer to be able to do the illustrations. And the fun thing about that book is that, Finding Forever Family could be a book you read to your child, at night. If you're 9 years to 11, you could probably read it yourself. Probably not all in one sitting, but that's okay. You could read a story a night, for quite some time. But I wanted it to be that way. But I also wanted it to be the very ending is a little meaningful to me. So whether you're being adopted as a child or whether you're being adopted as a dog, the book works that way. But there's just a lot of fun. Again, heartfelt stories about this fabulous dog and the funny shenanigans that he did all along the way.
We all love our dogs. I think everyone listening right now mostly are dog lovers. So I just want to go through all of this again. Well,
not the entire show.
Not the entire. No.
Although that would be all right.
Yeah. Okay. So here we have promotion protocol, which allows you which helps you learn how to get a promotion in a job. If you feel like you have the right skills and you're not losing, there's a problem. And then that's a companion piece to this coaching conversations, which is a good thing. Think about people that that would like some of these books. All right, Paving Your Path, What's Next for High School Graduates, we just talked about. And, most of us know people that have kids graduating. And that's a good thing. This is one of my favorites. Did I Say Never? Because I am a firm believer in never say never. Because trust me, it's going to happen. 52 Weeks to Exceptional Leadership, which came from a blog that she put out and then realized that she should write a book about it. And then this one is so impactful and really wonderful. From Prison to Possibilities, Paving Your Path. I think that is really great and something we should all support. Oh, Trish said in cats. I love both. Adopting cats. Yeah, there are a lot of cats that need to be adopted. That's for sure.
Definitely.
All right. Trish, you could write about cats. That could be your first book.
There you go.
Well, I think you can see that Trish could actually write about a lot of things because she's well-spoken.
Yes.
And I've read some of her book reviews that she's given other authors, and she's really funny and makes people want to read the books that she's just read. So I think she should write books. That's what I think. Now, does anyone have any more questions for Kim or comments? Or questions about the books that we've gone through? We'll give you a minute here. It usually takes,
New comments. You can hit new comments.
All right.
There we go.
Here we are. So Trish says, actually, my book I started is about a cat. Oh, George said he wrote about a cat named, I know you told me how to pronounce this, Naja. Am I right? Could be Naha because it happens in Honduras, but it's a big cat. It's a jaguar. It's a very big cat.
So do you have any plans for, or do you have anything on the drawing board right now as far as new books?
Well, there could be another book about a dog, possibly.
Oh, that's good. Is it going to be the same dog or a different dog?
No, it's a different dog. I have the title. I just haven't written it yet, but the title of the book is going to be Shar-Peis Don't Float.
You know what? Pugs don't float.
That's true.
We had a pug that every time she would jump into our pool all the time, and her head was so big. Yeah, pugs don't either. That's right. And she would roll over. Her head would make her roll over onto her back, so she could never do the dog paddle. Oh, and she didn't float. Oh gosh, that's funny. Marjorie says that's a cute title.
Hard J.
Okay, Hard J. Thanks. I won't remember the next time either, George. I'm sorry. Trish said she saved Bianca so many times. That was the pug. She was something else, wasn't she, Trish? So, any other type of helpful books? Like your books are so. Oh, wait a minute. Joe says, I love this show. It's great. This podcast is willing to stretch beyond fiction and traditional nonfiction type books. I love reading books that help us personally grow. Well, thank you, Joe.
Good comment.
That was, well, it was a good comment for us.
Yeah, well, it was good. I mean,
and it's a
he
good
appreciates
comment for
her
you.
work.
I do
so
too.
That's really great.
Thank you.
I do too. I think you're filling the gap in a couple of areas there, not only with the prison situation, but also coming out of high school, juniors and seniors in high school. Yeah, and people getting promotions.
Yeah,
because by the time they've found out they didn't get the job, it's a done deal. There's no going back. So right. You either burn the bridge or you roll with it and make it better.
Right.
And you're right. They can tell in the interviews, exactly where you're at. If you're angry, if you're sad, if you're happy, if you're okay with it, and then it does result in poor work performance too.
And one thing about that book in particular, it means a lot to me because it's not just a book I wrote and then just hoped it would work. I actually piloted with an organization and a group of people to see if, without them knowing, there's no promise of anything, right? But let's see what we can do. And I can tell you that of the 7 people, there were 4 people that were promoted. The entire culture changed. They were all speaking the same language. They got really connected. That was just one example, but it works. And one of the reasons is because it's over a period of time, promotion protocols, a period of time of 26 weeks. That's a half a year. And, if you really want to, I know in the coaching world, because I coach every day, in the coaching world, at a minimum, it takes 6 months to change a behavior. So you're doing this in conjunction with a mentor, you're absolutely going to see a shift.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Trish says agree. This show has been so encouraging. Kim is amazing.
Thank you, Trish.
And I think she really means it.
I do too.
Yeah, it has been really good. And I do like all of your books and what they speak to. It's really, really good and needed. As I'm looking at all of these things, it's really needed. And anyone that's ever had a boss, I am sure would like to buy him this or her.
Right. Well, this is about the point where I usually say, do you have any advice for new authors? And you've probably, I think, throughout this whole time period, you've been giving advice. But is there any one, in a short answer, any one, piece of advice that you could give to somebody that maybe doesn't have has a book but doesn't know how to get started?
Well, I'm always going to say Tom Bird first, just because he sets the climate, right? And that, but the other thing I was thinking is I was thinking about my own mindset, how it's changed. So when I kept saying, I'm never going to write a book, what I said in it behind that was, I speak for a living. And I'm either teaching or talking or in some way. And so I couldn't see how I could translate speaking into writing, which is ridiculous now that I think about it. But because I said I didn't have anything to say, but I have things to say every single day. And now it's just a different discipline. But here's what Tom did. So he has a particular technique that he uses. And I find that not stressful. It's not a burden. Like when we're ready to go, we write, and he turns on some music that he's had specially crafted. It works every single time. So I don't even think about those kinds of things anymore. So, and in fact, at work, I guess because I have developed this discipline at this moment in time, if somebody says, hey, Kim, can you write something about whatever? Yeah, absolutely. It's just it's not stressful. It's actually kind of fun.
Yeah. I like writing. Sometimes I'm not real happy with the process.
No, because we write together.
Well, no, that's not it.
Oh, okay, good.
When I can't get my characters to say what I want them to say, I can think what I want them to say, but maybe I have trouble having them say it in a way that I feel like the reader will understand my point. Because if I'm speaking to you and I'm being sarcastic, you're probably going to pick up on that from my tone of voice and my mannerisms. And I think that's more difficult to get that kind of, sarcasm, I think, is difficult to put across on the written word. And different types of witty comments and such are much easier to understand when you're speaking to the person face to face and you hear the inflection in the tone and, just their body language. You kind of get the idea. But putting that into writing sometimes frustrates me.
Yeah.
But Rob and Joan, what I would say, though, is the one more thing I'm going to say about Tom, and I get no toasters or anything from this man just because, but he's made such a huge difference in my life. And what I will say is he believes that every person on this planet has a book inside of them, and his job is to pull it out.
That's wonderful.
Okay, great.
I agree with that, too. I think everybody does have a book. We all have experiences, right?
Absolutely.
We all have things to share. We all have things to be worthwhile. Joe has the question.
Hey, Joe, I'm going to stick with what I know.
That was a hard no.
Yeah, for those that are just listening, Joe said, do you think you'll ever try your hand at a fiction novel?
Yeah. What I want to say to Joe is, let me turn that around. Do you ever think you'll write a self-help book?
There you go. I like that question.
Trisha says, I believe everyone has a story to tell. Yeah, everyone does have a story to tell.
Yeah,
and when you were talking, one of the things that I was thinking about is that really what people need to do when you're talking about the promotion is that people play tapes in their mind that are negative tapes, and you need to change that tape that you're playing. You need to change your own dialogue in your own brain, And then you said they start speaking it out. And it's kind of like this vitriol spills all over everybody because people pick it up on that right away. Oops. Okay. Joe says probably not. I'll stay. Yeah. Well, I can't see myself overwriting a self-help book either.
Well, I'll stay in our lanes.
Yeah, we'll all stay in our lanes.
Well, Kim, this has been great.
Yes.
We've really enjoyed having you on the show, and I think the audience will agree with me on that as well. Thank you very much for your time and for coming. We're going to put you over to the side here now. Let's see if I can do it easily. Let's see.
Well, I just want to say one more thing. I encourage everyone that if you know anyone that needs any of these books, please, buy for them for a Christmas present or a birthday
you can
present.
gift it to them easily on Amazon.
Yes. And, or, tell them about it. And because I think I think these are very worthwhile books.
Trish says,
thank you, Trish.
I'm so glad to get to know you.
A little.
George
says,
characters in my books go off on their own and do stuff without ever consulting them.
Absolutely, George. That is the truth, isn't it? And they won't do what you want them to do sometimes. It's very disheartening when that happens.
All righty. So without any more, we're going to
put you off.
Over. There we go. That's hard to do. It's really hard to do. Well, it's hard for me to do. Next week, we have author Susan Kite, multi-genre author, that will be live. So make sure you join us, carve out that time Wednesday, and get a chance to win some books and enjoy hearing about another author's journey. Do you have anything else?
Nope, I think I said it all.
We're going to run the Parafest clip, and so you can see what kind of people are going to be guests, at the Parafest, and there's some famous people, celebrities. So thank you everybody for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us here on Meet the Author. Make sure you stay up to date with our show by clicking like, follow, and share. And you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and more. See you next time on WLFE-DB.com.
You've been listening to WLFE-DB.com, where our shows are your shows.